In this video, I'm going to show you the AI system that I created to book calls on autopilot. So the system I'm going to show you in this video is a cold email outreach workflow, pretty much like you've never seen before. What I mean by nothing you've seen before is that, yeah, you have might probably seen some email automation workflows that personalize the email with AI, and let's not lie, that's pretty cool. Like, it solves one of the biggest problem with emails that there was before AI, that it was that you could just or send volume but with low personalization, or send a little few messages but with a high amount of personalization. Well, now with AI we can create both in one, and I'm going to show you how in this workflow. I'm going to show you how to get the leads, how to enrich those leads, and how to write copies that actually work. So let's go with it. So the automation has 6 different parts, starting for this part that creates and gets an Apollo search. So Apollo.io is a software that can help you scrape leads. I'm going to show you in a second how can you scrape leads. It's a pretty good option. It's the biggest database there's in the market. So it's useful for, I would say, 99.9% of use cases. So you're probably good to go with this one. Then we create a new Google Sheets. So what you see a bunch of nodes here just to create a new Google Sheets is because in order to create one from zero, you have to do a certain data structure that can only be done like this way. Then you select the campaign, because the magic of this is that we're going to be using 5 different prompts to personalizing 5 different messages, and we're going to test which one works the best. Then we're going to scrape the website and personalize the email with the website information. It can be also with the LinkedIn information. Then we're going to save the data. This is like not a thing you can actually skip, but I always like to have all my data stored in case something goes wrong. I always have it here. I have like a talk with this, but I would highly recommend it. And at the end, add the email to Instantly, which is an email marketing software for creating cold email campaigns. And that's what I'm going to be using for, well, actually for this video and for my campaigns. So starting with this first point, what we do here is, first of all, we create a form. That's how we start automation. Actually, you can execute this. And this is the form you get with the Apollo URL, the lead limits, the client's name and name of the database. That's something that I said just to, for the database to have a name. It's not really relevant. And then here you put the first prompt, the first campaign ID, the second prompt, the second campaign ID, and like this with the 5 IDs of the campaigns that you created. So how do you create a campaign, which is the first step? Well, you can go to Instantly and you go here and you add a new campaign. Let's say video 1. And here you get the ID. So you just copy and paste it here, and this is how you get the IDs. Also, you might have noticed that we need the Apollo URL. For that, we just need to go to apollo.io. In apollo.io, you want to set a bunch of filters of your ideal customer profile, the people you are going to target for this email campaign. These are all the type of filters you can set, and then you want to take this URL and copy it. You can just go to here and paste it, and here set the amount of leads that you want, let's say 2000. Okay, so when you have this ready, you can just set the prompts and set the campaigns and submit it. When you submit that form, the next thing that is going to happen is that we're going to make an HTTP request to Apify with all the information that we said before, like the max amount of leads and the search URL. So what's Apify? So Apify is basically a software where you can find a bunch of scrapers like this Apollo Scraper. What's a scraper? It's basically a software built to get data from the internet. In this case, we're getting Apollo searches URLs. So when we trigger this of here, this HTTP request, what it's doing, it's going to this specific actor that gets 1000 lead for $1.2, and it's sending the search URL, and the total number of leads. And it's going to give you something like this, where you get all the leads from here. But with that first step, what we do is creating the actual run, the Apify run, but we want to get the dataset items. That is how it's called. So we're telling Apify, hey, I want you to scrape all this list of leads for me. And then you want to tell Apify, hey, I want you to give me back that list of leads. So since sometimes we can be scraping like 200 leads and sometimes we want to be scraping 10,000 leads, I set this to avoid every kind of mistake that could happen. I set this if node that it basically says that if the JSON ID exists, which means that the data went through, then it can go through the automation. It can go on. But if it does not exist, which means that we don't have already the data, then it just wait 5 minutes and try back again over and over and over until we get our data back. Later on in this second phase, what we're doing is creating the Google Sheets where we're going to store all the data. Maybe you don't need to do this, but I personally rather do this because it gives me peace of mind more than everything to know that all my data is going to be stored in some place. And it's pretty tricky to create a new Google Sheet from anything, starting from zero. So here's the way I solved it. First, you create a Google Sheet with the name that you said on the form, and then this will give you a Google Sheet ID. And what you want to do is first taking a sheet, another sheet with the first rows, the row number 1, that's the tricky part that you want to use. And then you're just going to manipulate that row with the sheet ID that you got when you created the first sheet. Like, this may sound really tricky, but it's not actually that big deal, and you can just copy paste this so you don't have this problem. Then what you want to do is delete the rows of the one you copied before, and you append all the data from apollo.io that we got in this node over here. I understand that this seeing it over here, it doesn't actually makes much sense. When you're trying this, believe me that it actually works, and I think it's the only way that you can do this. The next thing, this is actually I think a pretty original way of from this automation, is we're going to select one of the 5 campaigns that we created to actually upload the data. So here is a JavaScript that creates a random number from 1 to 5, and depending on that number, it goes to the campaign number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Well, that's easy to understand. Here we just manipulate that data so everything is easier to run. And every one of these edit fields nodes, that is where we're going to manipulate the data, we're going to have the prompt part and the campaign ID part. Here we get to the funny part, to the scraping website and personalizing the email. So there are a lot of guides in the internet on how to do it, but this way is honestly the way that have served me the best, because in the actual prompt, in the actual copy, is like the 70% of the results of the campaign. There are a lot of stuff you have to count with, like the deliverability, all the domain setup, all the leads, where you get them from, and how do you nurture them. But basically, without a good copy, it's almost impossible for it to happen unless if you have a like crazy good offer. So what we're going to do is scripting the website with this HTTP node. What this is going to do is that it's going to go through someone's website, and it's going to take all the like code, all the HTML that was used to create that website. Then we're going to parse that HTML because it gives you a really, really, really long number of words, and you don't want to put all of that into an AI model like ChatGPT because it's not going to work. It's going to like overload the limits that it has. So you want to parse it, and after that you want to go to create the actual copy. And here it just goes the prompt. I'll show you at the end of the video what prompt has worked me the best with the main industry I work with. And then here you have the system message, where what you do is saying what information he's going to have. So this prompt usually is something like, you're an expert copywriter, you have to write a message that sounds like this, and like that. And what you want to do is to give it templates. So why you want to use templates is because if you don't use them and you just let AI do whatever it wants, it can go from here, that is hey, to here, which is I want to kill you. So to reduce as maximum the variety of answers that it can give you, you want to set a template, and it will like just reduce the possibilities of it sucking. And why do we use the system message and the user message? Okay, so the user message is, let's say, how we want like the AI to act, and the system message is the information we're giving the AI to act with. I think that makes sense. Then what we want to do is to save the data, which is just adding this Google Sheet node that it's updating the campaign, and it's just uploading the information about the subject line and the icebreaker and elevator pitch and CTA that we created with AI. Just that, it's as simple as that, and it gives you, well, at least it gives me a lot of peace of mind for knowing that everything that I've created, if it fails, it's going to be there. And the last part is that you want to add the email to instantly. And how do we do it is basically getting the row that we're using right now, the row that we have just personalized. Then we're making an API call to instantly. I cannot show you my full API, but it would be something like this. And at the end, we just want to wait for not to overload nor the AI agent or nor the Google Sheets, like the Google Sheets API, because it can go really tricky with a high volume. And this would be basically how you can do it. But like, yeah, okay, now you can have all the backend, but how do I actually write a good prompt for my emails to get open, reading, and replied? So this template would be the one that I personally use, one of them, and this is for my main clients who are SEO or SEM agencies. And first of all, we want to give them the task, like what do they want to do in a general basis. In this case, customize an email to offer help with web positioning, so SEO or SEM, to small businesses that can want more visibility but don't really understand how Google works. So what we did there is telling them what we want to do and who we want to do this for. Also, you'll notice that the this part of the prompt and this part is going to be almost all the time the same, but the actual source is in here in the actual copy that you create, because no, there's no easy way to create this. If not everyone could be printing money, you need to actually be some good at copywriting. AI makes it way easier, but you have to be actually something good with copywriting. Then we set your goal, catch your attention in a friendly way so you understand their business, and hand browser site. Okay, so that you understand their business. We don't want the AI to sound like too salesy. We just want the personalization to look like, hey, I've what's your business? Like I've actually gone through your website and I'm texting you this email because I thought what I have is actually for you. This is the only goal, not to sound salesy. That doesn't usually turn out right on email marketing. You want to look like a friend or someone who is genuinely interested on them getting better. And then here, the source is you'll build the email in parts using the templates below. So here I write the subject line, the icebreaker, the elevator pitch, the CTA, and the PS. A PS is actually really good. It's one of the most reading part of the emails, if not the most. So the subject line, you can try this. I always make some subject lines to make A/B test, but usually the best subject lines, at least for these niches, is something like this, like absolutely nothing, just to generate curiosity and intrigue. That's what you want on a subject line. And then the icebreaker, I said I was checking out what you do with service. Here we set the parameters that the part, this is the part that the AI is going to personalize. So let's say we're doing this to lawyers that are specific on, I don't know, divorces. I was checking out what you do with the divorce service and how you present it on your site. What struck me that even though it's good, it's not that easy to find you unless someone already knows your name. So this is the thing that I was saying. Like, you actually need to have some idea about copywriting. By the way, this email actually works. Like, it gets open rates and reply rates and positive reply rates. I would say it's my best one. Then the elevator pitch. So here we tell a little bit more about our offer. I believe you could be attracting more visits and clients if we take you to appear in search results. Here, normally, you don't need really much of personalization. You can do, but it's not necessary. This is just saying what you do and how can you help them. And the icebreaker is more the part where you tell them like, hey, I noticed that I know something about you. Like I've been investigating, I've done my homework. Then the call to action, everybody knows what a call to action is. This actually don't need personalization either, but I always put this here because the AI don't give you all the time the exact same letters. Like even though if you tell him to set this, it would give you actually this. And that's actually a good thing because it will not be too different. You can test a lot of things. And for deliverability on the mails, if you're not sending all the time the same stuff, it's actually pretty good for the emails not to go to spam. And there's the PS. Even if we don't do anything, try with your business on Google in incognito mode. You might be surprised by what does or doesn't show up. For something well, in this case, it was actually a pretty good PS. Like so many people answer like, "Hey, yo, I looked for it and we're ranking 3, or we're not even there. Let's talk." But usually, you want to say something like, I want to talk to even if you don't. I don't know if you even if you're not looking for this. I really think we should talk about something related to them or something like that. Then the instructions, you want to talk about the tone, the like looking for plausible but big connection. So look something you have in common, but not like really specific. Then don't repeat LinkedIn profile details. Make sure the subject line is not little case or all caps. I don't really use the subject line, but this works. And stick to the script. This is important. And at the end, you want to tell it how to actually give you the answer because you need to use a specific format to be able to then parse that information and upload it to Instantly. And you want it to give the reply in this specific format, which is called JSON. You just have to type this, and it will give you the different parts: the subject line, the icebreaker, elevator pitch, CTA, and PS. This is the main one I use. But then also this opens up a lot of words because with AI you can really easily use like templates. I don't mean by these templates like the one I showed you, but like copywriting strategies templates. Like I don't know if you've heard the IDA method. It's a really common one. So it's awareness, interest, desire, and action. So this is another method of copywriting, and you can just adjust this prompt, just copying it, going to ChatGPT. We just go to ChatGPT and we say, well, adjust this email creation prompt for it to use the IDA method. We just hand it, and then it will give you something like this, which I haven't like deep read it, but it looks pretty decent. One line is pretty good. Icebreaker, like bar chat. Okay, maybe we should take this out of the actual what to write and set it now in tone and style guidelines. But yeah, it looks pretty good, and you can basically do that with any email template that you want. Actually, it would be a good thing if you're doing a campaign trying 5 different templates. It's, as you saw, pretty easy to do, and you're going to test so much quicker than the rest of the people just by trying 5 different things at the same time than not one, because you don't need that much data to validate an email copy. And this way you're going to get advantage so quicker than the rest of the competition, and you're going to be able to transform these copies into replies that turns into calls that turns into new customers. And this way you're going to be able to turn all this product, all this system into an email campaign that actually gives replies, that gives you sales calls, that actually gets you more customers. Also, the last advice I want to give you is why 5 campaigns? Well, what I would usually do is creating one campaign for every pain point that I find. I used to try and find 5 different pain points and attack each one of them. So every campaign is pain point based. and we're attacking every one of these pain points to see which one is the hardest one. And you can do a bunch of different testings. You can do spin tags. You can do all like these different templates. So the options are unlimited, basically. With that last message, I created this actual campaign for an SEO agency. And as you can see here, I just added 1,200 lists where we were just testing out, and we got 15 opportunities out of 1,200 leads. So I don't know if you're on the email marketing world, but over 1% of positive reply rates is actually crazy. So it's like, let's say we're going to text to 10,000 people, which is actually like non crazy stuff, pretty common stuff. We would be talking to 100 different people every month. So 3 meetings a day. This is what this system can give you. And if you want to know more about the system, if you want to have the templates, just let me know in the comments and I will hand them for you. So yeah, I hope you like the video. And if you want to know something more specific about AI automation or about this system, let me know in the comments for me to create a new video about it. So thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye bye.